today. We're very happy to have a great maestro with us. We consider ourselves one of the luckiest guitar societies in the United States for having you, for joining us with your wonderful time. How are you doing tonight, maestro?
Well, it is my great honor to be here with you. Thank you so much for the invitation. It is a great pleasure. I'm doing well. I just came back yesterday, late night from Italy, and before I was in Spain. And well, here is about 2:30 in the morning, so I'm still alive. I'm still okay.
That was something that I wanted to clarify that it's 2:30 in the morning and you're still with energy joining us and making this sacrifice to talk to our community. So we are so thankful.
Yeah. Well, I never got so early in bed. So I'm used to sleep late, but another thing is to have a talk at 2:30 or 2:45 in the morning. But anyway, I'm all right. Tomorrow I have some meetings in the morning, some meetings, and well, I gotta sleep a couple of hours, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm pleased here to be with you and to have a chat and to talk. It's
Thank you
great.
so much. Thank you so
Well,
much. So tell us a little bit about, I know you are on tour. Do you still have many days going to the end of your tour, or are you starting the tour of this year? How is that in your dates?
Well, I just finished this tour now, and I got 3 days at home, and then I'm leaving again. I'm leaving again now on Friday. I'm leaving to Germany, and then I have concerts in Italy afterwards, and so I have concerts in Jerusalem also. So in Tel Aviv in Israel, and Brussels, and it goes on. I'm 3 days home, and then again on the road. So I just came back from Italy by car. So I was having about, let's say, in 15 days I was driving 7,000 kilometers more or less, because
Jesus.
I was going to Spain. I was going, the planes, flights have been due to COVID and to the situation nowadays. Many flights have been cancelled and reduced. So short distance flights have been changing, and so I decided to drive certain distances on safe roads, because at the same time I can come back with wine and ham and different stuff. So I'm free also to drive whenever I want. You are not tied to planes, but of course you are tired. And I have done, as I said, for the last 15 days, 12 to 15 days, 7,000 kilometers. So I feel like a truck driver.
That is incredible. If we think about the Renaissance for a second, we
Yes.
can love how safe it is to drive in European roads. Because you imagine that you were a Renaissance musician driving in your horse car and
Yeah.
everything, and you will have
That
to
would be
deal with
mad, man. That
those
would be mad.
people.
We would have very short distances. But well, I got a quite fast and safe car, and everything which is happening in Germany, most of the roads, highways in Germany are free of limit, no limits.
No limit.
So I have put my car to 256 kilometers per hour.
Oh my God.
Got to big distances in short time, in the night, of course. But
Yeah, of
I
course.
don't I don't recommend anybody to do these crazy things.
But it's
It's
amazing. But it feels great.
Yeah, it feels great, but you can lose so much in a second. But I
Mhm.
mean, it's the only way sometimes when you have those distances to drive. Then I press the pedal a little bit.
Now, because you mentioned, I
Yeah.
am now curious about what is the car that you drive. It seems that you drive a very fast car.
Yes. Well, it's a Mercedes.
Oh my God.
It's a limousine, fast car, four-wheel drive, and a big one and safe.
Yeah,
I,
that's
I
very
can
good.
I can take my hands off and he drive by himself, and stops, and if I give, it's kind of Tesla-like, but
Mhm.
really on diesel, on fuel.
That's beautiful. That's
So
beautiful.
he helps a lot. Actually, he saved me. The car saved me a
That's
lot. Saved me a
that's
lot.
amazing. I'm so glad that you have a safe car, that you're able to drive all over Europe, and that you're having a very successful tour, even
Yeah.
though you're dealing with the airport, um, with the COVID restrictions and everything. But I'm very good. I'm very happy for you that you're able to have your tour.
Thank
But
you.
if we jump in directly to the questions that we prepare for you, uh,
Sure.
we understand as a classical guitarist enthusiast and as music enthusiast how big is your career, how successful you have become as a classical guitarist and as a professor and as a musician. It's something that we admire in one of our team meetings when we were saying who are the people that we need to learn from. Your name came many times because of the amount of inspiration that you bring to the community. Um, and we want to learn more about that, about your career. So we understand that it's very important not only to be a well-built, round musician with your technique and musicality, but on side of that, there has to be a life outside of the practice room that allows you to continue to build your musical career. And
Yes.
we would like to understand what are some of the things that you know are important for upcoming guitarists to build their career and to continue to develop in a professional environment.
Great. It's a great question, but first of all, I want to thank you for considering my activities as important as you mentioned. You all really made me a great honor and made me feel much important and bigger than what I really think I am. I consider myself someone on ways of developing until the end of my life because I think compare if I make a comparison to a plane flying, we always have to fly up, because otherwise gravity pulls us down. That's why I think in order to stay to keep a level, we all need to develop, to continue to develop, to find a way how to improve, to get better, to correct our own mistakes and to have better control of ourselves. This is a goal that we will never reach. I always tell my students, we look for the perfection, knowing that we will never get it, but we should anyway seek the perfection and never forget that perfection doesn't exist. Because in this life of continuous changing, perfection cannot take place. Because perfection means that things have stopped and got to the level of perfection, and it means time have stopped. But on the other hand, I tell my students that's our goal, to get to the master control of our body and emotions, and to find what to do in order to achieve a better communication, a deeper interpretation or anything. Now, that's regarding myself. That I think what my career is about, and in order to achieve the things that on my side I have got, I think it is very important, first of all, to have great contacts, to have great connections with other musicians, with other humankind. I have been since very little somebody. I consider myself somebody very social, and I like very much equality. Maybe it's a consequence of my education in Cuba. Maybe it's a consequence of my education at home with my parents. But I try to be very fair and to have clean and clear connections with humankind, and uh, having friends, having connections, it is very important, as well as diversifying, splitting or having different ways how to do your career. For example, it's not all about playing solo. It's all about playing chamber music, a duo, a trio, with orchestra, having contact with singers, having contact with piano players. It's all about that, because if you have a wide repertory, a very wide repertory, and this month there are no solo concerts, but there are three chamber concerts. And if you're able to play some more relaxed music, or some baroque, but at the same time some romantic, and some a little bit of pop, and a little bit of that, then you have a sure incoming every time. I think we should be very open, and this is not a matter of modern time. This is something that used to be in the Baroque and in the Renaissance. Don't forget, Johann Sebastian Bach was teaching Latin. He had to, he was not willing, but he had to teach his students Latin, Latin language, rhetorics. He was performing, he was composing, everything. A musician was doing everything. What the word musician means, yeah? We have to master the basso continuo. We have to master the ornamentation. If we master ornamentation and understand the difference between French and Italian style, if we understand why the mean articulation in Baroque is of two, also there are articulations 3+1, 1+3, single notes, etc. If we understand why the mean articulation is of two, then you find a link to rhetoric in the language, because music is a language. And this, of course, is a matter of culture. And this culture sometimes is about reading, sometimes it's the connection you have with other musicians, the talking with friends. So you enrich your way, the more wide your horizon is. And this is what I actually have learned very much through all these years. Not long ago, on the 4th of September, one day before my birthday, I had a concert not far away from here in another province of Austria, in a beautiful castle. The concert was organized by a saxophone and a wind player. He's a saxophone, but he also plays clarinet and oboe and many different instruments. And at the end, the day of the concert, when I arrived there, he said, well, do you want to play something together at the end as a second or a third encore? I played some encores, and then he wanted to join. And I said, of course. What? And then he said, well, maybe some Morricone or some Piazzolla or whatever. And we never played together. But you see, if he say, let's say, Gabriel's Oboe by Morricone, which is the theme of the film The Mission, you may remember. Ta tra ra ra ri re ro ri, tam pa ra 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 ra, pam pa ra 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 ro re ri, ti re ro ro ra. And of course, if I am teaching basso continuo, which I do, I have to be able to accompany this and to improvise. And then and this is so rich, because you do music differently. And right after this, he was so happy, and I was so happy to play with him too, that other concerts offers came. You see, now we have another concert on the 2nd June or 12th June. We still have to decide the date next year in a big hall, where I will play solo and then we'll play some duo. So you see, versatility is very important. I think you say in English to be very versatile, and this is great, because if playing something with the cello, playing something with the flute, playing solo, you have different ways of ensuring you are incoming, which is, for young generation, at least in my time, an important issue, because I came here to Europe without any money. And it was also a need. It was a need for myself, but at the same time, it enriched my perception of music and my contacts, of course. People you do music with, and you learn from all the others. So I had also many teachers that were not guitarists at all. For example, Nicolaus Harnoncourt. There was one of the biggest, he died about 7-8 years ago. if I remember well. He was one of the biggest authorities in the early music, Nikolaus Harnoncourt. And he was a teacher of mine. He was a cellist. And you know, when you play and work with those musicians, and they say, you have to sound like this, and they don't play guitar, then you break your head, you know, in order you break your mind until you find a way, because you know you don't want to lose this teacher, and if you don't do it, he will not teach me anymore. Finish. And I would not dare at that time to say you are wrong, like people say today. I would not say, no, maestro, this is not possible. I would never say that. I would say, give me 15 minutes, or give me one day, or next lesson I come and I do it. You see, so I think we have to adapt and to be very open and to adapt to the situations that actually come. So this is in general, I think, and it's an attitude in life.
Perfect, perfect. I totally understand the main points that we take from what you're saying, that we need to establish great connections, that we need to be open to versatilities in music,
Yes,
and to create the connection by playing with other musicians in other
yes,
genres of music. So I think
definitely.
that is um, very
It's very,
important.
exactly. It's going in both directions. But you play with a musician, and then you learn. You know, you say, okay, well, for me that sound this way. You know, for him sounds that way. He cannot do this harmony, but he has a different phrasing. Well, I can change my ornamentation. I can change something in order to get that phrasing, or I propose a different thing. So it's very rich musically, very rich musically, but at the same time, if both are happy, of course, he has, or she, they have an audience, people, lovers, you know, that love the way of playing. At that day, on that day, at that moment, they listen somebody else, which in this case me. So I gain also, I may gain audience. And the same for the other musician. So we mix people. You see, I have been playing not long ago also with you know, an electric guitarist, a great electric guitarist, and somebody on the double bass. I met them occasionally, and they say, "Let's do something together." And I had my guitar by chance, and at certain, you know, suddenly, it was not my concert; it was their presentation, but it was audience there, and so it was the concert was, you know, it was their concert, and they had just no fixed fee. It was according to what people give. And they gave a lot of money, and of course I said, no, it's not my concert, the money is for you guys, so I don't need this. But it was great, it was really fun, and then we're improvising, you know, a little bit, you know, having some, I mean, we're playing Beatles or, you know, Pink Floyd, whatever. And this is actually, if we are musicians, we have to be able even to arrange, to compose, you know, to be more global in what the word musician means.
Yes, I completely agree. Now I want to shift a little bit the conversation. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I wanted to focus as well in two topics that I know are very important for you. Number one is recordings. I know that you have recorded many times with Naxos, and also competitions. Um, do you still believe that competitions are essential for a successful career in classical guitar? Or is there a point where classical guitarists have an opportunity to develop a career without winning or without even participating in competitions?
Well, competitions are not determinant for achieving a career, not at all. I had to tell you shortly, I will try to be short. Um, I did competitions because I was obliged to. I mean, nobody obliged me, but the only way to go out of Cuba was to participate in competitions at that time. So my first international tour, I started very little playing the guitar. I was 3 years old, but when I was 10, I was sent, the government, I was sent me to Bulgaria and former DDR for concerts. So I was 23 days when I was 10 years old on tour in those countries. But later, the only way of living or making my own way was passing a preliminary competition in Cuba with the same program of a real competition abroad in order to be sent. And the government had money for one or two guitarists, and in Cuba there were 1,000 guitarists participating in that competition. So it was the only way to leave the country several times. I honestly don't like competitions because I never like it to play the same pieces that everybody's playing at the time. I never like it to do the same thing everybody is doing at the moment. I think it is important to be unique. And that's why if, for example, somebody is playing Introducción Capricho by Regondi, all the competitions and all the competitors are doing that, I will play later when everybody gets tired of it, or I will play before. Because there is no point to be one more on the list. Now, competitions are a filter. And competitions are healthy as far as a musician is strong and can really filter what to learn from a competition. I know many people that have been broken, really broken, after competition because their character is not done for it. A competition can really destroy the musicians because, it's not easy, really, to accept that you are not selected. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing. And it's very easy to establish a negative comparison. You say, he missed 5 notes and I didn't miss any. Why he did blah, 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 start stupidities, things which are not fine. Now, a competition, if you take it positively and if people just try to establish a positive comparison, then they bring a development because you see from all over the world what people are doing. You have a little bit clear idea what the market is, where the market is heading to. Now, competition is also a filter because if we consider, for example, that the Michele Pitaluga or Andrés Segovia or Francisco Tárrega or GFA is or are important competitions, you expect that the winners are of high quality. It doesn't mean that it's like this because we know very well that competitions many times is a competition between the jurors. This also happens. And who controls the jurors? Who controls the controllers? So a competition may be a good filter for development and for achieving certain things. Now, it's not determinant. If I would have had the money before, I would not have participated in any. What is important, I had some students of myself that they didn't come from a rich family, and I always taught them, get some money, invest, practice well, and invest in your career. If this is a good base, if this base is available, I would really invest in the career. There are many competitors that have won great competitions and they don't exist in the market. You see, a real market, a result of competitions, are not always the same thing. They may be, but it's misunderstanding to believe that if I win a competition, my life is secure and I will have a great career. It's not true. I tell you, or I can place a question here. Maybe you know who was the last winner of the Radio France competition. Maybe you all know. But definitely, you guys know few of the Radio France competition, but not all of them. Many disappear. Many are not in the market at all. And the last winner of the competition was of the Radio France was a great Cuban guitarist, a great friend of mine, and he has a career. Jorge Luis Zamora, and he lives in Costa Rica. He's a great guitarist, but many others just didn't. I mean, of course, Alvaro Pierri won that competition too. You see, but in between there were many. That was the oldest competitions on earth, And Pitaluga the same. There are many winners, or Tarrega, but not all of them made it. So, what is a career? That would be an interesting question. What
So
means?
a
Tell me.
career could be determined as making a living as a musician, and if you're interested in touring, being able um, to get those opportunities to tour, to travel, uh, while playing the instrument, and be able to afford doing that with your instrument, right? Of course, there are level of or success within that, but for me, and this is just Abraham's opinion, I think that will be the definition of a career.
And it's right, but there is something that allows that. And for me, is for example the following: the career is what people believe you are. Because, if people don't believe in that, you won't have the concert, you won't have anything. But the best would be if that thing that people believe about you, about one musician, is supported by quality. Because there are many that have a career for a couple of years and then disappear again. If there is nothing behind that really support that, on quality that really can make it forever, or for a long time, then it would be a kind of mode, a kind of fashion. It's like it would be okay. Today the hair like that, and tomorrow like this, and 5 years like this, 5 years like that, and then just fashion. If you look at the market today, many, many, many people doing the same thing. Many, many people doing the same move. Many people doing the same faces. But there are millions doing the same. So it's not interesting anymore. So it has to be supported. You have to be sustained by something which is really real. You see what I mean? Because a career at the end is what people believe you are. If you start to shout now, I am a great trumpet player, and if you tell it with, there are 3 rules to make a lie become true. 3 elements. I mean, no, there is a rules. There are 3 things you have to do in order. The politicians know this very well. How to achieve that one thing which is not true becomes true and will be repeated by people. Now, if there is something that support that which is authentic and real, it will stay forever. Otherwise, not. It will pass. Now, coming back to the other question that you say about recordings, actually, I have several recordings, but not all of them in the market, and many new recordings that they didn't come out yet. But this year and next year, I hope really that kind of boom will come of many things at once. I really would like them at once. I had several years of a break in putting things in the market because I was focused on other things, some of them always in the performing, always in the recording, but I was working hard for achieving certain things in the pedagogical level, also in my editorial. And now I'm very happy to announce here that from this year I am the new professor in the UDK Berlin University in Berlin. Yeah, thank you so much. Which is the biggest university in Europe, actually, for the arts. And this is actually my last competition in my life. I mean, I hope this is the last competition I have done, which is a competition for a job, for a professorship. It was in 2019 on the 12th of September. But because of the COVID, it was delayed, the whole result, etc. But this, a long time ago, I quit competitions because at certain point I was competing with my own students. So I said, okay, it's no time anymore to do competitions. Now is the time for the young people, or younger, let's say. We are all young, but younger. And that was actually the best job ever offered for a guitarist in Berlin. And so I presented myself and I got the job, and I'm very happy for it. And but now many things will come out. For example, CD of Spanish music, including one Un tiempo fue Itálica famosa, which I played now not long ago in a concert, 1.5 weeks ago, again, and a CD about Bach music and Baroque, and a CD of my own arrangements. I have many arrangements and compositions. And all these three things should come quite together in the market now, in the next short time, in the next few months.
And it's going to be a success. I can see it. I can see
I
it
hope
coming.
so. I
Millions
hope
of views.
it's gonna be interesting. I think at least it's gonna be a new proposal of different things. You know, actually, I love recordings when they are done. I I hate the I never find the right moment to do because I'm so demanding and I always want to you know I have many recordings done and I should not listen to them anymore because otherwise they will never come out. I always think I will do them again because I can do them better and better and better. The best is to record and put it out. And this I have learned. This I have learned in these years, because I have done many, and then I listen to them. They are fine, but I say, no, now I want something different. And the best, my suggestion is record, listen a couple of times, and out immediately.
And be done
Otherwise,
with them.
they're gone.
And this comes to brings my last question for you. Um, what music do you consider that at this point in the history of music um, is worth to be recorded? So what music, because there of as you say, a lot of people record the same music, play the same material, but what is music that is worth to be recorded and that is worth to be worked on?
This is a very interesting question. Again, this is a very good question, like every question you have placed, but it's a very wide, or it has a very wide answer because anything, for me, everything is worth what is presented in a new way. You know, let me give you an example. If I go now, if I tell, to the Deutsche Grammophon, listen, I have a very good student here that plays the Chaconne by Bach. Okay? Take him into contract. They will say, yeah, okay, very good. But we have 62 recordings still to sell. We have so many recordings of this Chaconne. What for we need 63, we still cannot sell those ones. So it depends, you see what I mean? The Chaconne, fantastic. It's a great piece. And it's a great composition by Johann Sebastian Bach. But many companies have in stock still things to sell. We have to be very clear about what the need in the market is. For example, I can tell you an anecdote, a story. My first recording with the Naxos was scheduled not by me. I mean, any of the recordings that I have by Naxos are not, none of them are prices of competitions. They are a different project. And that was my manager at that time who made the agreement, he made the agreement. And my idea, I wanted to record what we call real repertory. Naxos said, no, we will record a CD of Cuban music. And for me, I'm Cuban. I can dance salsa and I drink mojito and I drink rum and I eat black beans and, I do all that. But I didn't want to record Cuban music. Because I'm Cuban, I say, okay, I consider myself a classical guitar. I wanted to record the 1006 by Bach and millions, what we call our repertory. But Naxos said, no, we will do a Cuban music CD. They had not that in the market, and they proposed this. So I wanted to do a CD with Naxos, so we agreed, let's do that. This CD was very well, sold. It was one of the more sold CDs they had, and really great reviews, etc. But I was doing that job, but I wasn't 100% happy. So while recording in the breaks, I was playing some other things, like Sonata Heroica by Giuliani, and etc. And Nobercraft heard in the breaks, "Oh, you play Giuliani too?" I said, "Yeah. And what else you play from Giuliani?" And I play all pieces for Giuliani, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, "Let's do a Giuliani CD." So it came the second CD, Giuliani. And doing Giuliani, that it made me more happy, but I already understood, okay, the Cuban CD was a great decision because they knew the market. I didn't know the market. I didn't know what is needed. They know what will sell. Then came Giuliani. And while recording Giuliani, in the breaks, I knew the strategy, I was playing Paganini. And I was playing other things. And then Norbert said, "Let's do Paganini also." Because he liked how Paganini was. So you see, it was Norbert anyway. He's a great guy. He's a great musician. He's a great technician. He's a good friend. But somehow things were running automatically. Somehow I was pushing a little bit but at the end, the Cuban CD music is one of the most sold. One of the CDs they sold the most. Again, what is right to record at what moment? Sometimes the musicians are not clear in this. The market leads. And if you have the market, in that case, Naxos got me into the market with a Cuban CD, then I could record anything that people anyway would buy. Abraham, I think it was Abraham that said, "If the mountain doesn't come to me, I go to the mountain." I think it was Abraham, and I think it was Abraham.
I don't know. I do not
Yeah,
know.
in the Old Testament, if mountain doesn't come to me, I go to mountain. It means I cannot oblige people to buy you have to find the door that has to be open. When you have reached the market and you have followers, then you can present something new. Means, I think anyway, in general, a repertoire of quality will always arrive when the music is good, when the music is connected to our nature, to our human needs, then it will always arrive. When the music could end there or could end there, doesn't matter where, people just will not need it after a certain point. Do you understand what I want to say? In other words, we have good contemporary music and we have bad contemporary music. The good contemporary music is the one that has a meaning. Let's say, is the one that if in the music itself tries to break tonality, that's one of the things that the avant-garde composers at the beginning wanted. We only can break tonality if we have here tonality. So the secret on performing contemporary music is to find what is tonal and then to break it. The music that has no relationship to tonality can end here or there or there. It's very dangerous. Do you understand?
I do. I do understand.
What
So
we need, what we
music
need to,
has to be great quality. Great quality.
and we can define, of course, the quality, but it has to apply to our understanding, our life experiences, what the society in certain way has established much more before Jesus Christ was as established as common understanding, more far than languages and cultures. Everybody can stay in front of the Smithsonian Museum or Notre Dame de Paris or the Arc de Triomphe. Everybody can understand that this is beautiful without talking. A Japanese or an American or a Cuban or a Mexican or an African, we stay there and we admire the beauty of the thing. You see what I mean? There is something already established that we say, okay, we understand what is beauty, what is tasty. You see, if the music is a language and it's a reflex of all these kind of things, is reflecting all that things, all those things, then it cannot go so wrong. And
And
this is a
to
message that goes
to
across.
recognize beauty, it's another sense, right?
Exactly.
Just like we can smell, we can see, we can
Exactly.
recognize beauty as well.
Connected to the sense, to our senses, you know. Exactly. This is a point.
Maestro, I want to be very respectful of your time, of course, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but you say that there are three elements to make a lie true for people to believe it, and you didn't say the three elements, so I got very curious about what those are.
Well, first of all, first of all, I mean, these are written in the books of, you know, these already in the old time, in the Latin time, you know, Romans, they apply these kind of things. You have to tell the things with a lot of convincement. Also, if you know, you know, if you know that it's not true, but you have to tell it with a lot of convincement. You have to repeat it many times. You have to get to believe it. Then people start to repeat it. You have to, you know, convincement, repetitions of it, you know, until the moment that you believe it. Then people start to believe it. But it doesn't mean, it's not a guarantee that it will stay. Because if there is nothing that support the lie, you know, there is no truth behind it, it will die sooner or later. This is the thing. For example, I will give you one example. I give you one example connected to guitar because we are all guitarists here, I guess. Yeah? Good. Many people say, and this could be an open discussion for another time. No, apoyando or tirando. And people say, tirando is faster than apoyando, don't play apoyando. I know many schools in the world that they don't teach one or the other, that divide these kind of things. But nobody gave real arguments for it. Nobody gave. And people start to repeat. I have met guitarists from different countries, different continents, and I asked them, why don't you play apoyando? And they said, well, I was never taught. I was told that it's slow, or you cannot, produce a beautiful sound with it. And then you see that no flamenco will play a fast scale tirando. No one flamenco. And now I will give you one other argument from all what the right hand does, which is apoyando, tirando, and rasgueo. That's the all three basic movements of the right hand are only apoyando, tirando, and rasgueo. And rasgueo anyway, a rasgueo is tirando on two or more strings. The difference rasgueo is that rasgueos could be in this direction or in that direction. So, but all the other, apoyando and tirando, both are into the hand. Rasgueo is the only one that could be outside. But apoyando and tirando is basically the thing that right hand does. If I skip 50% of possibilities, I'm blocking development. But there is another thing. The most natural movement on the right hand is apoyando, because each force develops an opposite force and equal. It's the third law of Newton. Book written published in 1687, 2 years after Bach's birth. Okay, so you may understand that if I play apoyando here, the upper string offers me a reference point and a force to stop the movement. That's why apoyando is balanced by itself, because relaxation exists when two opposite forces are equal. All right? Now, everybody playing guitar knows that playing fast and trying to play loud only with tirando when there is no balance here, everybody feels here hot and hard. Is true or not? Now, many schools have said, no, we don't play apoyando. Or other schools said, no, we don't play tirando. And you see, this is a lie that has been repeated centuries, almost a century. because people with certain character, with certain voice, convincement, has said it, and the student has repeated. This is one example.
That is a beautiful example because it's true.
And at the end, is just taking without understanding. That's why I always say the reason for development is always the question why. If people place the question why, why I have to do it, why I have to be like this, I, this is the basic thing for learning, for development. I tell my students, if I have no question from my students, I'm really worried. I don't want that I explain and they tell me, okay. For me, this is the worst.
Absolutely.
Yes,
And on that note, we would like to of course be very respectful of your time, and we regularly open a little section for the community to ask questions in case
sure.
there are some. So hopefully our community will ask freely some of their questions instead of saying okay, so we can surprise you, maestro, and we can say, oh, the Dallas community, incredible.
Anytime, anytime, we can always make another date. We can also record something. I mean, if I know it in time, like this day, I make a schedule and I will be at 2:30 in the morning awake. No worries.
Thank you, Maestro. But we open now the stage for anyone who has a
Oh,
question or a comment. Um,
yes.
please let us know, anyone. If you have a question, you can write it. If you don't feel comfortable saying it out loud, or you can just unmute yourself as well.
People can, as they desire. You just let me know.
Well, thank you, Maestro, for your time and for this opportunity. It's a pleasure. I feel like I'm an outsider. I'm not in Dallas. I'm actually coming from Richmond, Virginia. It's a great connection that we have, that the Texas Classical Guitar Society allows this to happen. So I thank you for your time. Just wanted to touch upon a couple things that you mentioned and tie them together for a question. You talked about the authenticity that really comes through when you actually engage yourself with music, and the authenticity that you approach in playing an instrument really actually comes through regardless of the competitions that you participate in. It is that authenticity that strives us to keep playing the music that we play. And I
Exactly.
have learned from reading things that you've written that the technique and interpretation that you combine together allows guitarists to create a level of authenticity that is personal, but yet also communicates. I wanted to thank you for that because you've really opened up a lot of things in the views. I'm a classical guitarist early in my years, turned to composition, have a doctorate in composition, and returned to the guitar after 20 years of hiatus. And the
Wow.
world of classical guitar has changed dramatically.
Yes, yes. Well,
The
thank you so much for your lovely words. I'm actually, it's very, very encouraging for me to continue working. Actually, this is exactly my point, is to provide, to give the tools, to provide people with the tools that they
Mhm.
can find their own way of doing the things, and not to copy. Yeah, of course, at certain point, when we are learning, we need some idols, and people have to, of course, have a way to follow. But all goes about finding ourselves and to having all the tools in order to understand, okay, if my hand is smaller or bigger, it's still good. It is no problem. There is no better or worse hand. It's I only have to know how to use it.
Right.
And so it's creating the trust rather than breaking people down, establishing comparison.
And just learning from your writings, I totally agree. The authenticity, the personal touch
Yeah,
that allows an individual to approach their instrument allows them to play any music as long as they have that foundation of authenticity.
exactly,
And
exactly.
and your writings and the way that you edit the music and the way that you perform, I can hear in your recordings, that is actually very apparent and it comes through. And that is one of the reasons why I think that you are a leading pedagogue in the classical guitar. And I applaud the work that you've brought to the world through the things that you've done.
Thank you
Well,
very much.
Well, that's a little bit of background, but I do have an interest that has been brewing since I've started to read some of your writings, and that your approach to dynamics is not a louder or softer approach, but yet it's almost an expression and an interpretation of the music. How
Yes.
do you prepare passages that have a dynamic component when you're tying technique and interpretation into every approach that you take?
Very good question. And there I have to go back to my learnings from Leo Brouwer,
Mm,
which is very interesting because a question on dynamics, for example, if we really try to do what a score, the music is, says, for example,
yes.
Mario Tedesco or Ginastera, right? 3 P's,
Yeah.
then 5F, and things like this. I mean, it is impossible. This
Right.
is impossible. And then we have a big crescendo, 2 lines from this one. So it is no way. Now, um, dynamics is a matter of sonority. For example, you see that few composers write sonoro. Leo Brouwer is one of them. Sonoro, according to some musical passage. Sonoro doesn't mean forte or piano. It refers actually, has to do with the sonority, characteristical sonority of this passage according to the harmony, according to the design of the melody, according to the design of the melody. What I want to say with that, what I refer to is the the intervals is not the same if I have pararam pam pararam pam pararam pam pam tiain tintoin tintoin. If I have something diatonic going up, fa sol la fa re mi fa pam pam, then pam 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 pam, because you see fa sol la from la fa, I have a jumping interval
Yeah.
la fa, then I have a third, two-thirds jumping interval, but before was diatonic. So there is already a sonority, there is a dynamic into the line which is not written down by the composer, should not be written. Now, because if I have a D major chord and the cello the plus pararam pam para pararam pam pararam pam pararam and fa sol la, the last note has to be almost pianissimo, and that's why you see in Bach or in any Baroque composer a bow of three, especially
Mm,
Giuliani, romantic composers, a bow of three, and the last note single. Ta, pa, 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 for example. It means the first one is louder, the second is less, and the other is less, according to the tempo, according to the
uh-huh.
character, to the design of the melody. So this conforms the sonority of one musical passage. And the rhetorical meaning of it, if it's optimistic, it's not the same if I play la si do do pam par do re mi mi sol do do. Something melancholic, quiet, meditative, and so I don't want to scream with that because it's more intimate. It's not that optimistic. But if I play, so I need to use the dynamic that transmit actually this optimismus, this activity, articulation, dynamic, and this is the concept of dynamic, actually connected to the rhetorical meaning of the music. Now, what happened is in the history today, rhetorics are not taught anymore in
Right.
school. That's a
Right.
mistake.
Yeah.
So, for example, it's not the same if I have po pan, one interval like this, do si bemol la sol fa re, po pam pam pam. So an interval which is going up in this diminished interval, do si bemol, is a question. It's
Yeah.
called in Latin exclamatio, because in every language of the West countries, eh, in French, a question is pourquoi. In English is why. In German, it's warum. So you always raise the voice. And if it's conclusive, you say, it is like this. C'est comme ça. Pam, pam. That's why it's called cadence, because cadere is coming from falling. That's why we have 5-1 is a typical cadence.
Yes.
You know, and if I am conclusive in a fast tempo, then pam, pam. You know, if it's melancholic, if it's slow music, then it could be pa, do, and then finish. You know, and it has a dynamic already from the language, from the way you will talk about it.
Mm.
You will express it. So I'm not tied to the dynamics, or I think the musician should not be tied to the dynamics written on the paper, because, as Leo Brouwer said, coming back to Brouwer, the guitar is an instrument that has to make planifications of dynamic, because we don't have the range as a piano, volume range, we don't have the range of orchestra. We have to, if this is the whole thing, and this is the climax, we have to organize this very well, maybe sometimes go up and down until we really achieve this. We cannot go like that all the time because we don't have the dynamic range.
Fascinating.
So it's always connected to how can I say in the best way, how can I express in the best way these moments, you know? And all these musical events conform my phrase. And this is the climax. Okay, until here I have to go. How I organize this? You see?
Yeah, fascinating. Thank you. That's very enlightening.
But of course, we have to. The best would be to check this one day with the instrument. But I mean, now in general, is may be confusing. But I hope you understand what I mean. And dynamics is a matter of sonority and the meaning of the passage. You know, the rhetorical meaning of the passage.
Yes. Thank you.
And you're welcome. Tedesco, Brouwer, and other composers, when they write sonoro, doesn't mean forte. People should keep this in mind, especially Brouwer. No forte. And forte is always regarding or concerning what happened before. And piano is depending on what happened before too. So when Brouwer writes piano subito, it doesn't mean that I have to come to piano subito. It means that I need a contrast to something what happened before. Maybe a break is enough. A little comma may be enough. You know, maybe an attitude. It's not the same. It's not the same. You see, if I had and then it's an attitude. That's what actually we should learn from conductors. You know, the music, the orchestra has to sound the way he expressed with the hand. It's not the same to do this. Not the same. So the orchestra has to play with this activity, and the hand leads and express. And if there is a contrast in the change of attitude, then there is a contrast in dynamic already.
Right, so perfect.
And one example of this, the change of attitude is what we get in the cembalo. For, you know, if you think about the cembalo, it's a horrible instrument. Yes, because the cembalo has only one color and only one dynamic. But when we hear a good cembalist, what does he do? Change of attitude and timing. And then we believe that there is a great dynamic. And it is, because the dynamic is what we give a name to it as a consequence from what we get as a feeling, you know. But physically, he's not doing any dynamic change. He's adding and skipping notes, so sonority reduced. But there is only one volume in the cembalo. You can do like this, sounds the same forte like if you do like this. Because there is always one little metal thing that goes back and does. It doesn't change, and there is no color change. But Scott Ross was a great cembalist, playing Scarlatti. And then you hear even, you know, the rubatos, you hear appoggiaturas, everything. You see? And it means this is actually, if we can learn from the instrument with more limits than guitar, then we understand the concept of dynamic from there. You see?
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Maestro, for being here with us today. We really appreciate your time. We know that it's very late, but you say that we make you feel very well with the words that we say because you didn't truly believe it. But let me tell you that we really consider that you are one of the greatest guitarists in history, and you have set up a path for us to remember you as that, and it's just an honor to have you here in our
It's my
society.
honor.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
It's me who say thank you, and I hope really to spend more time together with you. Maybe one day with guitar, really. That would
Yeah,
be great.
that will be fantastic. Now, as I said, I was able to really land this faculty position here at Tarrant County College, and we are looking to develop the guitar program not only with this college but with other colleges in the area, and to try to bring the community together so we can start bringing uh, artists. We know that Allegro Guitar Society is doing a great job by bringing concerts and opportunities for guitarists, and we just want to collaborate with everybody in the area. So that will be fantastic if we are able to at some point bring you in person, see you, and give you a
Okay.
great high five.
Thank you so much. I'm anytime available.
Thank you, Maestro. And everybody, we don't have any other talks scheduled in the meantime. We are going to start recording more music and be able to post it on YouTube with the team. And now we have two flute players that are joining the team as well. So we're gonna be posting a lot of chamber music in the coming days, and
Great.
we're going to try to schedule one talk per month, and we're going to start developing the in-person meetings as well, so we can go back a little bit to see each other, see everybody smiling and playing music together. But thank you, Maestro, again for being here. We really appreciate your time, and thank you everybody for coming. Have a great night.
Thank you very much.